take a little look at Tuesday. So Monday, obviously holiday, Martin Luther King Day. We come back Tuesday, we have a nice gain to the upside, but we have an extraordinarily nice gain to the NASDAQ. And suddenly, everybody who was talking about this value over growth, wow, where is everybody? Hello? Are you guys around? Because we are seeing growth being bought, and we are seeing the outperformance, which certainly stood out yesterday once again. Now, we had a triple-digit move. We had a very nice, solid move to the upside from the major indices. And yet, when you look at the NASDAQ absolutely was king. As a matter of fact, NASDAQ up over 2%. FANG is back, baby. Take a look at Facebook. Over the last couple of sessions, Facebook has gone from 250 to 270. And yesterday we had, I'm just taking a quick look, we got Microsoft was up about 4%, Apple was up about 3.5%, we've got Amazon up nearly 5%, you got Google up 6%. Wow. It does not seem like growth is dead just yet. And it continues to be something where when you look at the fundamentals make sense. And a lot of these names have continued to do very, very well. So have a pause with the financials. Energy takes a little bit of a pause as well. And it seems as if we are definitely seeing the absolute growth side of things. And let's be honest, when we look over at energy, it's been that beta side or the potential for growth side that we've been seeing over there as well. And we've seen these fits and starts when it comes to energy as we've watched the price of oil move from 38 towards 54, 55 in that sort of a direction. So certainly we've been watching this for a while now. 40.5 million contracts trading yesterday. Yes. 40.5 million contracts trading yesterday. These are monster numbers, guys. If you go back and you look at the average day back in 2018, 2019, 20 million contracts, and here we are in January, we are close to averaging nearly 40 million contracts a day. It's just been an extraordinary run to the upside. Where were some of the really major activity? GM. Huge option activity yesterday. Ford, monstrous option activity. Marvell hit on multiple occasions. That had some decent size. Microsoft as well had some very large size, some very, very short-term trading there. But when I take a look and I see Apple trade 1.7 million, that does stand out. But then the next biggest, and I look down and I see Netflix trading about 850,000 contracts. It shows you how widespread the activity really was. 40.5 million contracts. Obviously, Apple day in and day out is going to be one of those names that we're going to see that kind of activity. Oh, and by the way, what's happening with Apple today? Well, Katie Huberty, who I've been talking about for many, many years now, she is my go-to. And in every single stock, when you're looking for an analyst, you need to have the analyst who's been right and they've been consistently right. Doesn't mean they're 100% right, but the most right. And certainly Katie Huberty fits into that category for Apple. I've been talking about this for years. The guys on CNBC used to hassle me about this, and finally they've embraced this as well. And I see others at CNBC embracing this as well. Katie has been the axe, and she's gone now from 144 to a 152 price target for Apple. So it gives you a little bit of a sense for what we're seeing today off of that note. By the way, volatility trading in the low 21, 6-month lows is where we're trading right now, right on those lows, right near those lows. So gives you a little bit of a perspective of where people are mentally as they're approaching the markets right now. So we start off today relatively flat, really. We were up a little bit, then we moved towards flat with the Dow. The Dow actually moved into negative territory. And meanwhile, what was actually still working? Well, the NASDAQ. The NASDAQ actually got to flat and then immediately bounced and now is moving to the upside. So we've got both the Dow flipping around and back to the upside. We've got the NASDAQ doubling up on what the movement is percentage-wise in terms of that. So where are we seeing some of this? Well, the leadership's really today coming from GM, had a lot of activity yesterday. Ford had a lot of activity yesterday. And Apple always has a lot of activity. So that's your movers to the upside right now. You can look at some of those FANG names as well. It's really been something really, really interesting to watch, and we've watched this whole thing unfold. And obviously, as we push deeper and deeper into earnings season, we're still getting all the results, the unemployment claims and all the rest of that. It looks like those claims came in a little bit below the numbers that were expected there. So quickly, let's hit a couple of unusuals, and we're going to get the heck out of there. Zynga. Zynga has been an absolute freak show. You go back to January 12th, and we had a monstrous buyer. 19,000 of tomorrow's expiring, but this was happening on January 12th. Tomorrow's expiring January 22nd. 19,000 of the 10 calls. Those are going for about 10 cents. Well, today with Zynga trading initially at 1022, we had more buyers for next Friday's expiration, 4,000 of the 10.5 strike calls being bought for, call it somewhere close to 17 cents. That got followed up with more buyers as the stock was trading at 1060. Gives you a little idea what those calls from a couple weeks ago are moving from 10 cents. They're at least 60 cents, plus add any kind of premium to that in terms of volatility. They do still have one more day as well. 22,000 of the February 5th expiring, 11 calls in Zynga. And those were 32 cents up to 58 cents. So some very, very aggressive positioning going into Zynga. Now, Ford, almost a similar story. We've been watching activity in here for a long time. And as a matter of fact, what got me in Ford was way back in November, they were going out to the June 11 strike calls and bought massive numbers. Well, what did we see yesterday? Well, we saw a big roll-up. We go out to February. The February 11 calls were sold. And why were they getting sold? Because they performed. And when you perform, a really smart trader wants to take some of that off, take a little bit off the table, and move to the next. What do I want to do and where do I think it's going? So they rolled from the 11s to the 12s. They bought 70,000 of the February 12 calls yesterday for about 20 cents. Stock was trading around 1060. Today, 23,000 of tomorrow's expiring 11.5 calls were bought for about 10 cents. On top of that, they were buying next week's January 29th expiring calls, about 11,000 of those. They are also buying the 12.5 calls, about 8,600 of those. So a lot of activity in Ford, a lot of, we know that it's been the news. People talking about EV, they're talking about all the rest of this type of thing. And it's certainly been on an absolute ride to the upside. I'm looking at it right now. It's trading up nearly 10% Ford and just underneath $12. So gives you some sense of how right were they back in November. It took a little while to move, but that's okay. They actually bought plenty of time going all the way out to April. But that move that we got and now what we are seeing today and the option volumes yesterday and the option volumes and what we are seeing, the buying volumes today. So let's always remember, volumes don't really mean anything. But the volumes, when you know they're buying, does tell you a lot. So yesterday, the 70,000 that was rolled, that's 140,000 contracts, right? So that sounds huge. But it really, the buy side of that was the 70,000 of the next strike calls that were being bought. Folks, I really want you to have an understanding of the derivatives markets. That is the place to be. I talk about the growth all the time. 40 plus thousand again yesterday, or million again yesterday. That's where the activity is right here. Market Rebellion. Giddy up, baby. Have a great day of trading, and we'll see you tomorrow. Getting in closer to the weekend. Giddy up.